Good afternoon and welcome. Please rise for our national anthem. Play ball! Please be seated and enjoy a video celebrating our graduating class.
Lord, grant that I may be able in argument, accurate in analysis, strict in study, candid with clients, and honest with adversaries. Sit with me at my desk, listen with me at my clients' plaints, read with me in my library, and stand beside me in court, so that today I shall not, in order to win a point, lose my soul.
Okay, having discharged my contractual obligation to you, class of 2018, I will say it has been a privilege and a pleasure. Come back and see us.
All right, good luck to everyone. And just remember, when your ship comes in, don't be waiting at the airport.
You've worked hard. The big day's finally here. Congratulations.
I want to say thank you to my children, Liz and Joe, for learning how to do all kinds of things like Uber to the orthodontist and bake your own brownies for the team bake sales. And I want to say thank you to my husband, Stephen, for going on this really inconvenient journey with me. Thank you.
Congratulations on reaching this milestone. I'm very proud of you. And you know what's next? Pass the damn bar.
I would first like to thank my amazing family, my parents, my brother Rocco, aunts, uncles, and grandparents who have always told me that I was capable of anything and definitely made this possible for me. I would also like to thank my boyfriend Chris, who for the past 8.5 years has stood by me as I have chased every dream, and his family, who has been just as supportive as mine throughout this process. I'd also like to give a special shout out to my mother, who, after my father passed away when I was 14, had to step into the role of both parents, and she did so flawlessly, which no doubt shaped me into who I am today. So to her and to all of the other single parents here today, thank you.
All right, good luck everyone. And remember, pass the damn bar.
It's my great pleasure to have so many of you in my class, and I wish you the best of luck in the future.
Hi, congrats everyone. I just want to say thank you to my mom and dad and little sister for your love and support throughout law school and for joining me here today, making the trip all the way from Arizona to see me. Thank you to my advisors, and also thank you to Roger, who is in the audience.
Hey everybody, this is Mark from the library. I just wanted to say congratulations on graduating.
The class of 2018, it's been a lot of fun, enjoyable teaching you, and I hope you have great success and pass the damn bar.
Hi, I want to offer my congratulations and best wishes to the Scalia graduating class of 2018.
I'd like to extend my best wishes to the class of 2018.
Congratulations, graduates of the 2018 class.
I can't believe you're graduating. It feels like we just admitted you. Well, have a great summer, study hard, and pass the bar.
Oh my God, my LLM babies are graduating today. Congratulations, guys and girls, you've made it.
I want to thank
my mom and my son and his girlfriend and my daughter, as well as other special people in my life, Shirley and Dave, and my best friend Tammy. I'm so thankful that you can be here.
Congratulations, class of 2018. It's been awesome having you here for the past 3 years.
I'd like to thank my husband Ryan for always supporting me through the last 4 years, and my parents for making sure there was enough food in my house and for making sure that I got enough hours of sleep and didn't go too crazy during school.
Class of 2018, thanks for being a part of the George Mason community. Good luck in the adventure ahead in the practice of law.
Class of 2018, congratulations. It was a pleasure to teach you. I leave you with one thing I hope you'll take away. Check the rules.
I want to thank my husband, Kyle, for all of his support the last few years, especially for making sure I had plenty to eat and lots of coffee during those long hours studying. Couldn't have done it without you.
Well, it's time to say goodbye to the class of 2018. We'll miss you. We had a terrific experience together. I hope you agree.
To my mom and dad, my brother Jonah, my girlfriend Sarah, all the friends I've made here, and to Professors Davies, Clays, and Wong Irvin, thank you very much for making these the best 3 years of my life.
Congratulations, you did it! It has been my great pleasure to work with so many of you over the last 3 to 4 years. I wish you the very, very best in all of your personal and your professional endeavors.
Do not let me down. Live long, prosper, and have a good time in the practice of law.
First, I want to thank my mom for always supporting me and believing in me and telling me I could do it and be successful when law school was just a dream. And then I want to thank my dad for always being there for me and helping me out whenever I need anything.
I first would like to thank my mom, who has always told me to go for it and supported me, whatever it happened to be. I'd like to give a shout out to my good friend Stephanie, who's been a surrogate mom to Catherine when she really needed someone over the past 4 years. She provided Camp Troxel, and she provided assurance that her mom would return to normal and would resume personal hygiene once finals were over. But mainly I'd like to thank my daughter. She supported my decision when she was only 14 to come to law school so she would have to go home to an empty house 4 nights a week. She's provided support, encouragement. She's been my biggest cheerleader.
Hi, I just want to say thank you to my parents for encouraging me to go to law school, and thank you to Jesse for being my rock.
Congratulations, graduating class of 2018. We love to have you guys here, and as the dean always says, pass the damn bar.
I just wanted to thank my friends and family from California, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina for coming out here. I'm so grateful that you guys have supported me, prayed for me, and just have encouraged me throughout this whole process. I just really wanted to thank my husband. He has been the best ever. And I just wanted to announce to you guys that I have been offered a position as a JAG in the United States Air Force, and I've accepted.
Onward and upward.
All right, this is truly an onward and upward moment. I'm Henry Butler, Dean of Antonin Scalia Law School. This is the 39th graduation ceremony of the Antonin Scalia Law School at George Mason University. I'm joined on the stage by our graduation speaker, Noel Francisco, the 48th Solicitor General of the United States, as well as our distinguished faculty. Today we celebrate our graduating class and welcome them into our family of alumni. They are among our most accomplished and promising graduates. To our students, think about all the family and friends here today who came to see you graduate. They have given of themselves and made sacrifices, financial and otherwise, to help you earn your degree. Please take a moment to thank them, moms, dads, sisters, brothers, grandparents, husbands, wives, significant others, friends, and spiritual leaders. Let them know that you appreciate their love and support. Stand up, turn around, and show them some love. All right. Let's not forget that your journey at Scalia Law has been guided by our distinguished faculty, an impressive group of scholars who have dedicated their lives to inspiring others and helping them grow. My faculty colleagues, you have done an awesome job. Please stand so we can recognize you. That's you guys. Now back to our graduates. The future of each of you is intertwined with your classmates and with the law school and the university. Let me offer the hope and indeed the prayer that along with the privileges associated with your degree, you will shoulder the demanding responsibilities that your professional life entails. And now we move onward and upward to our student speakers. Please welcome the immediate past president of the Student Bar, Phil Abrascato. Where is Phil?
Thank you, Dean Butler. Fellow graduates, family members, friends, today marks the end of a journey for the Antonin Scalia Law School class of 2018. No single graduate took the same path to end up here today, be it the differences in the classes that we took, the internships that we worked, or the organizations we joined. Nevertheless, there are plenty of commonalities between the challenges we overcame that resulted in us reaching the same destination on this journey. We can all recall that feeling gearing up for 1L year, still bright-eyed, hopeful, determined, and ready to take down any challenge that law school might throw our way. And I'm sure we could all subsequently remember opening up a law school textbook for the first time, then picking your head up an hour later and seeing that you barely made it through 10 pages, understood maybe half of it, and then questioning for the first time, maybe you don't know how to read. And I'm sure we all remember our first cold call. For me, it was torts with Professor Polsby, who showed up to the first class wearing a black suit, a white shirt, and a black tie. The moment he placed his textbook on the lectern, he told us a story about his first class as a law student, where the professor showed up in a black suit, a white shirt, and a black tie, and starting at the top of the roster, asked Mr. Anderson, spelt with 2 A's, to explain the first case in the reading. While it was a nice anecdote to calm the nerves of everyone else, it was an absolutely terrifying moment for those of us named Mr. Abrascato, spelled with 2 B's. But since those first-year moments, we marched onward. And despite law school's inherently competitive nature, it's also a breeding ground for camaraderie. Classmates become study group members, and study group members become friends. And when you're friends in law school, you do really cool things together, like staying in the library until 2 a.m. That was a fun one, right, guys? Or maybe going on runs together to see how many miles you can go away from the Potomac, both as a means of exercise and procrastination. Sometimes your friends even help you answer questions in class. The first week of Dean Perkins' income tax class, I was asked what IRS code section provided the formula for computing gain or loss for tax purposes. After looking through my notes, I whisper under my breath, in earshot of 2 of my classmates turned study group members turned friends, on either side of me, I think it's section 1001. And just as I'm about to reiterate that out loud, the friend to my left whispers back with conviction, no, it's not. That's the wrong answer. I turn to the friend on my right, and she just shakes her head and shrugs. So instead, I don't say anything, and I just put my head back down to my notes and stare at them for a few seconds longer than probably appropriate, before someone in the back of the room yells out that it is, in fact, 1001. And from that day forth, I didn't have to worry about Dean Perkins calling on me alphabetically as Mr. Abrascato. From that point on, I was only referred to by her as Mr. 1001. And I never second-guessed the code section for calculating gain or loss again. And to top it off, between the 3 of us friends in that class, 2 went on to ace that exam. The third, well, he got the opportunity to tell you that story in this speech at graduation, so I think we all won in that scenario. Perhaps the most important commonality of this class is that none of us accomplished this alone. To all of the friends and family here today who supported us throughout this journey, I would like to say on behalf of the class of 2018, thank you. As someone on the outside looking into the law school experience, you probably observed us, at one point or another, by a reasonable person's standard, acting objectively unreasonable. You being here today is a testament to the fact that you're all so great because you're still here. 3 or 4 years later, after putting up with all of this. And whether it was listening to us vent and rant after exams or classes or job interviews, thanks, Mom, or driving you back to Virginia from New York through the night so you could sleep in the car in preparation for your trial advocacy competition early next morning, thanks, Dad. None of it went unnoticed or unappreciated, and you all deserve some sort of honorary degree for vicariously living through this experience. Fellow graduates, while today marks the ending of our final chapter together, it also signals the beginning of a whole new journey. And whether your next path starts right here in the greater Northern Virginia area, or a few hours north or south, or maybe even the opposite side of the country, we'll always have the shared experience of this completed journey, and through it, the lifelong connections we made with this university, its law school, and with each other. Thank you, and congratulations to the class of 2018.
Thank you, Phil. It has been a real pleasure to work with you over the past year. Thank you for your service and your devotion to your classmates as well as Scalia Law. Many of you probably know that Phil was also president of the undergraduate at George Mason, so he's a double Patriot past president. That's pretty impressive. Yeah, okay, Phil. But it almost didn't happen. When I first met Phil in late April 2015, I'd just been announced to be the next dean of the law school, and I knew he was applying to law school and he was thinking about going to GW. I was stunned. How can you as the undergraduate president not come to George Mason? So once I threatened to kick his tail, he decided to stay home. And Phil, I hope you've had as much fun and enjoyed this as much as I have. But you've been a great person for us. Graduating students have elected speakers from their own ranks as well. Victoria Martinelli from the LM class will speak first. Victoria, the lectern is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Dean Butler. Dear faculty, families, and friends. It's hard for me today to explain what this program meant to all of us in just 3 minutes, but I'll try my best. Today, we're all here as totally different people from who we were 1 or 2 years ago during our orientation week. It was a year of challenges, of new beginnings, where we all found ourselves completely out of our comfort zone, but yet ready for a change. During this year, we have had so many gains, so much knowledge, so many great memories, and incomparable friends. LLM friends that exchanged cultural points of view, introduced us to different kinds of food, and went to happy hours together after a long week of work, who also found themselves in the same situation of a new life scenario, and were there for each other. JD friends that made us engage into discussions, embraced us as one of them, and warmly welcomed us into their country and lives. We all had different reasons for choosing to pursue a LLM, but we are all graduating today with the same goal. We want to make a difference. Today we live here with more than a diploma. The school is giving us the opportunity of making that difference. Here at Mason, we've all learned that despite our country, our age, gender, or religion, we can express ideas. We've learned that we do have a voice and that we can and should follow our passions, that combining our heart and determination is the key to success. No matter what, I expect we all become not just successful lawyers, but professionals. Professionals that don't only follow the black law, but also brain and intuition, that seek justice. I hope we can all see people as human beings, no matter if they're right or wrong, if they're good or bad. After all, this is just a matter of perspective and circumstances, imperceptible by statutes. But I say more. Today, we're not here only to celebrate our success. We are here to show gratitude for the ones that made our achievements possible. We would like to thank the brilliant faculty for sharing knowledge and giving us opportunities. Adriana Vito, our Director of Graduate Studies, for being always willing to listen and help. Thank you, family and friends, for coming here and supporting us. Thank you for being there for us when we most needed, for ignoring time zones, and no matter what, picking up the phone in the middle of the night, because we were anxious, nervous, or even frustrated about an exam or a cold call, for making sure we're eating well and taking care of our health. Most, thank you for believing in us and for trying to make us dreams possible. We are blessed and lucky for having you. Colleagues, congratulations. Let a new journey begin for all of us.
Thank you, Victoria. Katie McDowell was elected by the day student class. Katie, the lectern is yours.
Thank you, Dean Butler. Good afternoon. I am so honored to be here today. I was hoping to be at the royal wedding, but I think my invitation was lost in the mail. Being here today is a close second, though. I cannot believe that we are graduating from law school. As Elle Woods once said, we did it! Now, in all seriousness, the last 3 years have been incredibly difficult. We have all been through so much. All of the low passes, late nights, long exams, graying hair, increased glasses prescriptions, stress eating, the name change, mid-exam computer crashes, lost sleep, and so much more. I doubt that anyone in this room would disagree with me when I say, law school was hard. We should all be so proud of what we have accomplished in graduating from Mason Law. Now, law school was very different than I expected. I came in thinking it would be just like undergrad, except all of my classes would be about law. Well, I was wrong. I have come to the conclusion that law school and undergrad are actually complete opposites. I think undergrad is like the traditional bell curve. We started off at a low point. We were scared, we didn't know anyone, we had to live in a gross, tiny dorm room. But it suddenly got much better. We made friends, picked a major, joined clubs that we liked. But by the end, there were big projects to finish up, law school applications to mail. We had to say goodbye to our friends, and we were very sad that it was over. Now, law school, I think it's the opposite of a bell curve. Google tells me that's called an inverted bell curve. We started off at a high point. We were excited for the next chapter and ready for the challenge. Then the readings started to pile up, and then the cold calls started. Next, we felt like we needed to join extracurriculars, which just added to our already heavy workload. We soon found ourselves in con law, and we were worrying about finding jobs. But we soon realized that there wasn't much time left, and we finally got into the groove and figured out how to make law school work for us. As bar applications were submitted, graduation neared, tensions subsided, and we knew that the end was in sight. Now, graduating today is a little bittersweet. It's been a rocky few years, but part of me is really sad that it's coming to an end. I think it's so much better, though, that law school's ending on such a high note. So congratulations, class of 2018, and thank you to everyone who supported us on this long, wild journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Bonnie Kelly was elected by the evening class. Bonnie, please join us.
Thank you, Dean Butler. One morning in 1888, Alfred Nobel opened the newspaper. As he read, a headline caught his eye: "The Merchant of Death is dead." It was an obituary, and with such an intriguing title, Nobel began to read. What he discovered was the obituary had been written about him. It was a mistake, of course. His older brother Ludwig had died, and the newspaper mistakenly identified Alfred. In that instant, he had an opportunity that few of us will ever get. He had the opportunity to read his own obituary and know how he would be remembered. But the obituary made him out to be a monster. He was condemned for his invention of dynamite, accused of becoming rich by inventing new ways to mutilate and kill, and branded the merchant of death. Nobel was horrified that this would be his legacy. Wanting to change that legacy, he willed most of his great fortune, which had been made as an iron and steel producer and later as a major manufacturer of munitions, to create the Nobel Prizes. The Nobel Prizes honor outstanding contributions to humanity in ways that enrich and enhance our lives: literature, medicine, the sciences, peace, and economics. More than a century after his death, these international awards are the legacy associated with Alfred Nobel. As I stand here today, I remember that lawyers are often the punchline of jokes. The words that can be associated with lawyers aren't always flattering. And while merchant of death isn't common, shark, ambulance chaser, shyster are. And I wonder, what will our legacy be? What kind of lawyer will you be? What kind of lawyer will I be? People become lawyers for many reasons: money, our parents, social justice, a passion for the law. But in the end, the role we take on is the same. That is the role to help people when they are most vulnerable. There's powerful responsibility in taking on that role, matched only in the honor of fulfilling it. Often, legacy is something we begin to think about at the end, as Alfred Nobel did. But in reality, it's something we build from the start. So in terms of a legacy, we should ask ourselves now, what can I do to be of service and add value to my client or company? How can I make people whole again? What advice can I provide that would be of some benefit? Since 1901, there have been 33 lawyers or legal institutions to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. May we also lead a life of consequence. Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie. Each year, the graduating class elects an instructor to speak at convocation. The class of 2018 elected Professor Michael Davis. Professor Davis is a senior lecturer at the law school. After 24 years serving as an adjunct professor, he joined the law school full-time in August 2015. He was actually my first hire, so I'm taking credit for this one right there. Prior to joining us in 2015, Mike spent a dozen years as the managing attorney for State Farm Insurance Claim Litigation Counsel in Alexandria, where he was involved primarily in personal injury and wrongful death litigation and insurance law. From 1980, after he actually graduated from the law school in 1980, from 1980 to 2002, he was an attorney and principal in the trial litigation firm, last known as Brandt, Jennings, Roberts, Davis, and Snee in Fairfax, where he served many years as its managing partner. He has tried more than 300 civil jury trials to verdict. Professor Davis willingly and enthusiastically teaches any course we need covered, including trial advocacy, advanced trial advocacy, evidence, and Virginia practice. He also oversees the law school's Virginia Practice Externship Program and their pro bono initiatives. He was the 2017 recipient of the inaugural Law School Teaching Excellence Award. He has served as lecturer, author, and participant in numerous seminars on litigation topics over the years and maintains an active role in the legal community. Professor Davis has served as the Virginia State Bar, as chair of the Mandatory and Continuing Legal Education Board, a member of its disciplinary committees, and is a faculty to its professionalism course. He has also served 2 terms on the Fairfax County Board Association Judicial Screening Committee. And I'm particularly grateful for Professor Davis for dragging me around at numerous state and local bar association meetings where he seems to know virtually everyone in the room. Professor Davis, we very much look forward to your remarks. Everyone, please join me with a rousing welcome for Professor Mike Davis.
Well, obviously, you didn't see the evidence grades I posted this morning. Thank you very much, Dean Butler. Mr. Solicitor General, Dean Butler, administration, faculty, staff, graduating students, and family and friends. I remember attending my law school commencement many years ago, and you're probably not going to believe this, but I still remember the faculty speaker and what his speech was about. It was about 45 minutes too long. But it's really nice to be up here looking down at the graduates of 2018, many of whom I've had the privilege of having in class. The only difference is that today, unlike in my classes, you're all sitting in the front row. What a change. Thank you for a change. Now, I'm sure everyone here has a favorite day of the year, and when I was growing up, mine has shifted over the years. It was Christmas Day as a child, because of course I received gifts. Probably didn't give too many, but I loved receiving them. But as I grew older and I became more mature, or so I think, Thanksgiving became my favorite holiday, because then I was able to have all my family and friends together at one time a year, because everyone's going in different directions. But I got to tell you, my favorite day of the year has changed again. My new favorite day of the year is the day before graduation of this law school, because I get to meet all the family and friends and the students who've supported them for so long. All of you that I got to talk to last night, thank you for coming. And students, thanks for bringing everyone with you. It was great. My wife and I enjoy that every single year. Let me say that I am very humbled and honored that you have actually selected me to address you today. So I was trying to figure out why you picked me. And then it dawned on me that you must have found out about some of the remarkable things I've done in the past. Like the time my 10th grade English teacher surprised our class with a pop quiz on a novel which was assigned to read, which of course I did not, and faced us with a 10-question true-false quiz. And I defied the odds. I got every one wrong. Or maybe you heard about the time I was defending a personal injury case right here in Fairfax County, and the wrong client showed up for trial. Yeah, the judge and jury, they got to laugh about that. They loved that one. Or maybe you heard about the time my wife Karen and I were in Italy, and I pulled into a service station, and I filled our rental car with gasoline. And I was putting the gas cap back on. I saw those dreaded words that haunt me to this day: diesel fuel only. Yeah. Yes, I have so many remarkable things I could tell you about me, but I'm told I only have 2 hours on the podium today. So, I would, however, like to take a moment and share with you a unique perspective I might have that few in this hall probably have about the history of this law school. As Dean Butler mentioned, I graduated from this law school many years ago. And when I started at the law school, it was a private law school called the International School of Law. And it was located in a not real nice area in Washington, D.C. on Rhode Island Avenue, in an old, dilapidated building. And Professor Cummings, who's here today, who's also a fellow classmate, will remember that when you were taking notes in that building that first year, that you had to wear gloves because the heater would only work about every other day in that building. But halfway through that first year, the law school moved to Arlington in a former department store, which is still vacant today and stands next to Founders Hall. I'm not saying that building was old, but when we first opened it, now remember, it used to be a department store. And the first time I went in there, I noticed above the escalators, there were still signs hanging that said, this is how old it was: mothers, hold your children's hand. Right. But shortly thereafter, the law school was acquired by George Mason. Now, since then, it's been off to the races. The school built and moved into its current location, and then the progress of the school has been nothing short of amazing. I've witnessed the quality of the faculty and students increase year after year. I saw it become the youngest law school in the country to become ranked in the top tier. As Dean Butler mentioned, I did start teaching here as an adjunct in 1991 and have since seen the school's rise in national and international reputation and influence. But it wasn't until 3 years ago when I was invited to join the school full-time that I came to truly appreciate the caliber of the faculty of the school, which has been assembled ever so greatly. Dean Butler and Scalia Law continue to attract the most sought-after faculty in the country. And if I can quote a song from an old band, Bachman Turner Overdrive, BTO, and I know some of us here remember that, they had a song which I think is in theme for the progression of this law school, and it's called You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet. So I guess this is where I'm supposed to stand up and provide you with some words of wisdom to the graduating class. And I know at every commencement, every year, every spring around this country, some speaker is shouting, "The future is yours," or words to that effect. And you know, whenever I hear that, I don't know if whether that's meant as a promise or a threat. But it is yours. It's no one else's. Okay. I will, however, offer some thoughts that perhaps you will take to heart. First, as you move forward and progress in your careers, never forget that the only thing you will always leave behind is your reputation. Be kind to others. Be respectful to your opponents. And just because you believe in the position very strongly, it does not mean your opponent is wrong. It's okay to make mistakes. After all, you will be practicing law, never perfecting it. Just make sure you take ownership of your mistakes and don't pass blame on to others. We all learn from our mistakes. Choose family over fortune. Again, choose family over fortune. At the end of the day, your money may run out, but family bonds last forever. Become a mentor to young attorneys. Be the first in your firm, agency, or organization to reach out and greet the new persons who come aboard. They will never forget you. Give back to the legal community. That is, be active in legal organizations, not just to pad your resume, but to become a respected leader in our noble profession. You owe it to this profession to become and stay a leader. Commit now to pro bono services. There are so many people in our communities in need of your talent and your education. So please put that on your plate no matter what profession, no matter what specialty you end up doing. And lastly, if you ever need to borrow money, borrow from a pessimist because they never expect to be repaid. Okay? Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mike. When the class of 2018 evening students returned to class in August 2015, they were met with our new slogan, Learn, Challenge, Lead. It was on banners, signs on elevator doors, T-shirts, and on and on. I imagine the entering day students in the class of 2018 may have thought that that was nothing new, but it was a major change in the way we were projecting the school. And that was really just the beginning, but it reflects what we've been doing at our school for a long time. Hold on. And I like to emphasize the slogan as a syllogism. At Scalia Law, you have learned from some of the top scholars in the country. You have been taught to challenge ideas and concepts through your exposure to the powerful critical thinking skills of economics. And the end result is that you are prepared to become a leader by distinguishing yourself through insightful and constructive queries that improve the outcomes in all aspects of your professional career. I dare say that George Mason, the man, and Antonin Scalia, the man, were true examples of learn, challenge, lead, and action. And I would like to tell you that I selected today's speaker because his career embodies learn, challenge, lead. But I'd be lying. The real reason I selected him is because he is the Solicitor General of the United States of America. I happen to know him. And my graduation speaker at the University of Miami was Solicitor General Rex Lee. So I thought when I had the opportunity to get a Solicitor General here, I was going to take it. Now here's the challenge for our speaker. I actually remember what Rex Lee talked about. He talked about the American Inns of Courts and how he'd been working with Chief Justice Warren Burger to develop the Inns of Courts. I don't know. No, this is a pretty big burden for you to cover. 35 years later, I still remember it, so the bar is going to be high. Noel Francisco was sworn in as the 48th Solicitor General of the United States on September 19th, 2017. Prior to joining the Justice Department, he was a partner in the Washington, D.C. office of Jones Day, where he was chair of the firm's government regulation practice. While at Jones Day, he appeared before the Supreme Court on several occasions, including successfully representing Virginia's Governor Bob McDonnell in the landmark case of McDonnell v. United States, which involved the meaning of official act under the federal bribery statutes. He's also ordered numerous cases in the lower federal courts, federal and state courts on a wide range of constitutional, civil, and criminal matters. From 2001 to 2003, Mr. Francisco served in the Department of Justice again, or actually, this is in the President's office. Office of the Counsel to the President as Associate Counsel to President George W. Bush, and then from 2003 to 2005, he served as Deputy Attorney General in the U.S. Department of Justice, Office of Legal Counsel. Mr. Francisco was raised in Oswego, New York. He received his BA with honors in 1991 from the University of Chicago and a JD with high honors in 1996 from the University of Chicago Law School, the law school formerly known as the Law and Economics Law School, where he undoubtedly learned to challenge part of the challenge part of learn, challenge, and lead. After law school, Mr. Francisco served as a law clerk for Judge Michael Ludig of the United States Court of Appeals for the Fourth Circuit before clerking for Associate Justice Antonin Scalia of the United States Supreme Court. Please join me in giving a rousing welcome to Noel Francisco.
Well, thank you, Dean Butler, and that's a big challenge. I can't guarantee you're going to remember this speech 35 years down the road, but regardless, I'm going to give you a 15-minute break, so kick your feet up, lean back, and we'll wake you up in about 15 minutes. I actually don't remember who the speaker was at my law school graduation. I don't remember who the speaker was at my college graduation either, but I do remember my college graduation speaker's opening line. He opened it with something like this, and this was at the University of Chicago. He said, if this were a regular university, I would be Bill Cosby, and you would be in for a treat. Well, I'm not, and you're not. So, Dean Butler, faculty, staff, family, friends, and most importantly, graduates of the Antonin Scalia Law School class of 2018. Congratulations on a tremendous achievement, and thank you for the invitation to join me in commemorating this exciting moment in your lives. It's been a long journey. You've reached the first stage of this destination, and you should feel rightly proud. And I hope you take some time to celebrate with each other and to celebrate with your family and your friends here to really commemorate this important moment. Today marks the second commencement at the Antonin Scalia Law School. And it's already clear that this institution, which has lived much longer than that, is living up to its new great name. Scalia Law is a vibrant place of rigorous and independent legal thinking, and as befits a school that sits in the shadow of our nation's capital, your professors are at the forefront of government and law. This includes many of friends of mine, both in the government and without, including your former law professor, Naomi Rao, who leads the little-known but highly influential Office of Regulatory Affairs in the Office of Management and Budget, as well as Professor Maureen Ollison, who is a commissioner and the former acting chair of the Federal Trade Commission, and of course my good friend Nelson Lund, who is one of the leading scholars of the Second Amendment. I have every confidence that many of you sitting in this room will have similar impacts on the law. whether you're serving clients in private practice, engaging in public service, or driving the debate within the academy and beyond. Scalia Law School will always be a special place to me because of its namesake. This is the 20th anniversary of the term that I arrived in Justice Scalia's chambers as a law clerk. Growing up as the son of a Filipino immigrant in a small town in upstate New York, I never imagined even visiting the chambers of a Supreme Court justice, let alone working there. The year I spent with him was one of the most exhilarating, exciting, and exhausting years of my legal career, though I have to admit this past year has proved to be a close second. One of my favorite memories of Justice Scalia was one of the first ones that came on the first day that we law clerks joined him in his chambers. Back then, there was a wonderful pizzeria on Capitol Hill called AV Restaurante. It's no longer there. But the justice, whenever he ventured out to eat, would bring his law clerks to AV Restaurante, where we would feast on anchovy pizzas, and only anchovy pizzas. That first day, he brought the law clerks out to lunch, and he ordered 4 pizzas for the 5 of us. And after we'd eaten 3 of these pizzas and were completely stuffed, we kind of leaned back, ready to go, and he sort of mumbled under his breath without making eye contact with us, "I couldn't imagine not finishing the pizza the first time I took my law clerks out to lunch." So, like a scene out of Cool Hand Luke, we shoveled that 4th pie into our mouths and moved our jaws up and down, forcing us to swallow them. And that was a big lesson in the Scalia chambers, because what we learned is that nothing in his chambers was done halfway. He had a chance to speak when Hazel Hall opened here in 1999, and on that day he devoted his remarks to education. He spoke about his admiration for his father's work as a professor of Romance languages at Brooklyn College, and about how much he loved and missed teaching law. His choice of topic was telling. Although Justice Scalia had to give up the title of professor, he never stopped teaching. And so that seems to be a fitting theme for this commencement address: Justice Scalia as a teacher. And in particular, I'd like to highlight 3 lessons that Justice Scalia taught all of us about law and about life. The first lesson that he taught us was to develop clear principles and stick to them. Justice Scalia's core legal principles were clear. When interpreting statutes, when interpreting the Constitution, he applied the ordinary public meaning of the text. Now, there's a robust debate in the academy and beyond about whether that's the right approach to the Constitution, to statutes, but we can put that aside for now. The key point is that he applied that principle consistently. He applied it to every case before him, whether or not he liked the result. One of his most celebrated opinions was his dissent in Morrison against Olson, where he concluded that a federal statute that allowed a court to appoint an independent counsel, removable only for cause by the Attorney General, was unconstitutional under the separation of powers. Now, that opinion is striking not only because of Justice Scalia's position on the legal question, one that couldn't arise today because Congress chose not to reenact that statute, but because he had the courage to take that position at all. Justice Scalia was the junior justice in the Morrison case. He had been on the court for just 2 years. The majority opinion was authored by Chief Justice Rehnquist and joined by lions of the law, like Justices Brennan, Marshall, and White. And nobody joined Justice Scalia's opinion. It was 8-1, he dissented alone. But in his view, the text and the history of the Constitution compelled that result. As he put it, like it or not, the Constitution quite plainly vests that executive power in a President of the United States. And in his view, the independent counsel statute quite clearly vested that power elsewhere. In his unforgettable and colorful language, he said the following, and this is one of the great lines in the Justice Scalia lexicon: "Frequently an issue of this sort will come to the court clad, so to speak, in sheep's clothing. But this wolf comes as a wolf." Now, Justice Scalia applied that same principle to cases involving the Bill of Rights. His decision concluding that the Second Amendment protects an individual right to keep and bear arms is probably his best-known majority opinion. I don't know for sure what Justice Scalia thought of that case as a policy matter, but I can tell you that he was no fan of flag burning or violent video games, yet he concluded that the First Amendment protected both. He likewise had no special affinity for criminal defendants, but he wrote some of the most defendant-protective opinions in the modern era because he believed that the text of the Constitution required it. And the justice's clear principles applied not just in law, but also in life. They were forged by his upbringing, his faith, and his character. He was in many ways a man of a different era. He remembered playing stickball and marbles on the streets of New York. And in my office at the Justice Department, I have hanging on the wall a picture of Justice Scalia during his confirmation hearing smoking a pipe. Although the world changed around Justice Scalia, his core convictions never changed. One of his heroes was Thomas More, who famously refused to sign an oath acknowledging the supremacy of the Church of England over the Vatican, a decision for which he paid with his life. What Justice Scalia admired was not just that More stood on principle, but that he did so when those around him regarded the stand as foolish. As Justice Scalia put it, More's decision was unsupported by intelligent society, by his friends, even by his wife. In short, as the justice would later say in one of his speeches, this first lesson of his was clear. Have the courage to have your wisdom regarded as stupidity. The second lesson that the justice taught us was don't be afraid to disagree, but do so with civility. Unfortunately, neither our profession nor our geographic region is always renowned for civility. So it was commonly thought, even by some sophisticated observers, that Justice Scalia's strong views must have created tense relationships with the other justices. As became especially clear after his passing, however, quite the opposite was true. Justice Scalia's closest colleague on the court was Justice Ginsburg, with whom he often vigorously disagreed with on legal questions. And not only were they genuine friends, but they used their respectful disagreements to sharpen their own views. A good example is the landmark case involving the Virginia Military Institute, which the court decided the term before I clerked for Justice Scalia. As the lawyers here know, Justice Ginsburg wrote a powerful majority opinion concluding that the Equal Protection Clause required VMI to admit female students. Justice Scalia dissented, and again, this was another one of his lone dissents, protesting that the history of the 14th Amendment demonstrated that it protected no such right. And here I'm going to read you a somewhat extended quote from his dissent because I think it perfectly captures his basic approach to the law. And what he wrote was this: much of the court's opinion is devoted to deprecating the closed-mindedness of our forebears. Closed-minded they were, as every age is, including our own, with regard to matters it cannot guess because it simply does not consider them debatable. The virtue of a democratic system with a First Amendment is that it readily enables the people, over time, to be persuaded that what they took for granted is not so, and to change their laws accordingly. That system is destroyed if the smug assurance of each age are removed from the democratic process and written into the Constitution. So to counterbalance the court's criticism of our ancestors, let me say a word in their praise. They left us free to change. And he concluded, the same cannot be said of this most illiberal court. Now, those are very strong words, and one can imagine Justice Ginsburg having taken offense. But she didn't. As she later explained, her majority opinion in that case was ever so much better thanks to Justice Scalia's attention-grabbing dissent. It's that commitment to civil disagreement, even on the most contentious issues of the day, that should serve as a model for all lawyers. And the secret to it is actually pretty simple. As Justice Scalia himself put it, I attack ideas, I don't attack people. and I hope all of you will do the same as you proceed forward in your careers. The third and final lesson that the Justice taught us was to take the long view. As your last 3 years here have shown, any important endeavor will have its ups and downs. Justice Scalia's career was no exception. He didn't get into his top choice of colleges. Although this is almost impossible to believe, he actually received B- in writing from his English composition professor. And in the 1970s, he was passed over for Solicitor General. Even after he joined the court, he didn't pen nearly as many majority opinions as he would have hoped to. Yet he never despaired, and he never compromised his core beliefs to achieve short-term objectives. In one case, the term where I was clerking for him, he circulated a dissent to the law clerks. And we all read it, and it was fantastic. But we went to the justice and said, "Justice, this is a great dissent, but we think that if you tone down the rhetoric a little bit, you might be able to get a couple of the other justices to join it." So he looked at us and he said, let me think about that. He went back into his chambers. A couple of hours later, he came back and gave us the revised version. And much to our surprise, he had actually jacked up the rhetoric about 2 more levels. And so we said to him again, "Justice, this is a great opinion, but really we think you might get a few others to join if you tone it down a little." And at that point, he looked down at the opinion, he looked up at us, down at the opinion, and up at us again, and then he uttered these words, which I will never forget as long as I lived. He looked us in the eye and he said, "Sometimes I've just got to be me." And so it was. There was a lot to be said about letting Scalia be Scalia. On reflection, though, there was a lot more to his approach. Justice Scalia was not trying to persuade a few more justices or to win a few more cases. He was trying to persuade a generation of lawyers to rethink fundamental questions on how to interpret the law. He wasn't writing for his colleagues, and he certainly wasn't writing for his law clerks. He was writing for you. And in that way, Justice Scalia is a particularly fitting successor to this school's first namesake, the great founder, George Mason. The two have more in common than you might think. Mason had 12 children, 9 of whom lived to adulthood. Many of you may know that Justice Scalia has 9 children. Mason was a legal scholar and a great writer who drafted the Virginia Declaration of Rights, and most famously, he was a dissenter. George Mason was one of the few delegates to the Philadelphia Convention who refused to sign the Constitution. He gave several reasons for it, including its omission of the Bill of Rights and its continuation of the slave trade, which he believed rendered the United States weaker, more vulnerable, and less capable of defense, even though he was himself a slave owner. And he wasn't afraid to state his dissent in strong terms. At one point, Mason said, quote, "I would sooner chop off my right hand than put it to the Constitution as it now stands." I guess that's the 18th century equivalent of how Justice Scalia later described the majority opinion that he refused to join, which he deemed to be, and I quote, "pure applesauce." Mason's dissent, of course, proved prophetic. Congress and the state adopted the Bill of Rights in 1791, and Congress banned the slave trade in 1808. George Mason did not live to see that triumph, but these constitutional principles have endured for centuries, including in this fine university that bears his name. I am confident that the same will be true about Antonin Scalia and this school of law, and I am equally confident that each of you should be forever proud to carry a diploma that bears his name, and that your principled work in service of the law will bring honor to his legacy and to your own. So as you venture out into the world, I implore you to remember the lessons of the great man after whom this law school is named. Stick to your guns, do so with civility, and play the long game. If you do, I'm confident that the lives you lead, the profession to which we belong, and the country that we love will all be better as a result of the Antonin Scalia Law School class of 2018. Congratulations and thank you for the opportunity to join you on this special occasion.
Thank you, Mr. Francisco. I am Rochelle Holmes Perkins, Associate Dean of Academic Affairs at the Law School. Now is the time to recognize students who have received awards for academic achievements or service to the community. Once your name is called, please come up to receive your award from Dean Butler. Nominated by our faculty and staff, the Daniel D. Polsby Award for Excellence in Leadership recognizes the graduating student or students who have demonstrated outstanding leadership during law school, serving as a role model for other students and representing the high ideals of the legal profession. This year, we have two worthy recipients of this award, Ms. Katie J. McDowell and Mr. Daniel J. Shapiro. Nominated by our faculty and staff, the Emerging Leader in Public Service Award recognizes the graduating student or students who have engaged in exemplary public service work throughout their time in law school, and who will continue work in public service upon graduation. This year's award goes to Ms. Julia E. Palermo. Nominated by our faculty and staff, the American Law Institute CLE Scholarship and Leadership Award recognizes the graduating student who represents a combination of scholarship and leadership. This year's award goes to Mr. To Shukirlu, who is unable to be with us today. Nominated by our faculty and staff, the Law School Community Service Award is given to the graduating student or students who have engaged in outstanding service endeavors that have positively impacted the law school community. Service may include leadership roles or behind-the-scenes work within student organizations, volunteer services for various law school departments, or other efforts to improve the law school community. This year, there are two recipients of this award, Ms. Ashley Post and Mr. Zachary T. Schutz. Nominated by our faculty and staff, the Law School Pro Bono Award is presented to a graduating student or students who have demonstrated extraordinary commitment and dedication over the duration of their time in law school to serving those most in need. This year, there are two recipients of this award, Ms. Laura A. Cercina and Ms. Anna J. Schaffner, who is unable to be with us today. Nominated by our faculty and staff, the Marketplace of Ideas Award recognizes the graduating student or students who demonstrate a passion for advocacy and a willingness to challenge and respectfully debate opposing views, both in the classroom and as part of the larger law school and academic community. This year's award goes to Mr. Daniel Masakayan. The award for Outstanding Academic Achievement in Master of Laws, LLM Studies, recognizes the LLM student with the highest grade point average in the first semester of LLM Studies at the law school. This year's recipient is Ms. Marina Rakova. Nominated by our faculty, the Henry G. Manny Award for Excellence in Law and Economics is awarded to the graduating student or students who have demonstrated excellence in law and economics coursework and studies during their time in law school. This year's award goes to Mr. Joseph J. Kusan III. Nominated by our antitrust faculty, the Global Antitrust Institute Award for Outstanding Performance in Law, Antitrust Law, and Economics is awarded to both a graduating JD and graduating LLM student who has demonstrated overall excellence and outstanding performance in antitrust law and economics. This year's JD recipient is Mr. Thomas Rucker. And this year's LLM recipient is Mr. Nobutaka Yasui, who is unable to be with us today. The award for Outstanding Academic Achievement in Antitrust Law recognizes outstanding academic performance by graduating students in particular antitrust courses at the law school. This year we have 5 recipients: Ms. Kristen A. Harris, Mr. Evan Thomas Hicks, Mr. Patrick Rocco Panella, Mr. Thomas Rucker, and Ms. Caitlin Elizabeth Van Sant. The Giles Sutherland Rich Award for Excellence in the Study of Intellectual Property Law is awarded to the student with the highest GPA in a defined group of intellectual property courses. This year's award goes to Mr. Floyd E. Canfield. The Family Law section of the Virginia State Bar and Virginia chapter of the American Academy of Matrimonial Lawyers Family Law Book Award is presented to a graduating student at each Virginia law school who has demonstrated the greatest promise and potential for the practice of family law. This year's recipient is Ms. Bonnie M. Kelly. Nominated by faculty who teach oral advocacy skills or work with students in our moot court and trial advocacy programs, the Excellence in Oral Advocacy Award is presented to the graduating student or students who have demonstrated outstanding oral advocacy skills through their participation in intramural and extramural trial advocacy and/or moot court competitions. This year's winner is Ms. Reva Grace Phillips. The Virginia Trial Lawyers Association Student Advocacy Award is presented to a student at each Virginia law school who best exemplifies the attributes of an effective trial advocate, including a dedication to preserving the rights of individuals and excellence in trial skills. This year's award goes to Ms. Abigail Ann McNellis. Congratulations to each of our student award winners. I now welcome Dean Butler back to the lectern to present awards to members of our outstanding faculty and staff.
Thank you, Rochelle. We now have the opportunity to recognize our exceptional faculty and staff who work hard to build our community and help prepare our graduates for success. This year, we have 2 awards to present. The first award is the Excellence in Teaching Award. This award honors either a full-time or adjunct faculty member who is nominated by law students for the individual's exceptional commitment to teaching. This year's award goes to Professor Michelle Boardman. Professor Boardman is an associate professor of law. Michelle joined the faculty at Antonin Scalia Law School in 2002 after practicing appellate law for several years with Wiley, Ryan, and Fielding, a leading insurance defense firm. After graduating from the University of Chicago Law School, where she was a classmate of Noel Francisco, was a member of the University of Chicago Law Review, Professor Boardman clerked for Judge Frank Easterbrook of the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals. From 2005 to 2007, Professor Boardman took a leave of absence from the law school to serve as Deputy Assistant Attorney General in the Office of Legal Counsel at the U.S. Department of Justice. Professor Boardman teaches contracts and insurance law. She was nominated by her students for multiple reasons, including engaging students in the classroom through humor and questions, and making a steadily boring and dry topic interesting. They described her as a preeminent educator. The students report that the school is lucky to have Michelle Boardman, and we agree. Professor Boardman, please come up here and receive your award. This is awesome. I think we can get a nice picture right here. Should we get Noel up here? Noel, come on up here. I got to take advantage of this opportunity, right? This will be in the Chicago Alumni Magazine. The second award is the second Dean's Award of Excellence. Recognizes a faculty or staff member whose contribution of efforts and skills have resulted in a positive impact on the law school community. The recipient of this award is nominated by faculty, adjuncts, staff, and students. This year's recipient is Jose Corridon, Director of Technology Services. That means he's gotten all of us out of fixes at various times. Jose has been at the law school since 2001. During this time, he has consistently provided outstanding service to our students, faculty, and staff, from helping a student with a laptop problem during exams to fixing a failing hard drive for a professor who needs to meet a deadline. Jose is always able to find just the right solution, and always with kindness, patience, and a smile. Jose, please come up here. Congratulations, my friend. This is awesome. I now welcome back Rochelle Perkins, our Associate Dean for Academic Affairs. I guess I'll get my book out of your way.
All right. Here is the moment you've all been waiting for. And not just you graduates, some of your parents have been waiting practically since you were born, and your grandparents in some cases for a lot longer than that. And your spouses have been waiting too, hopefully mostly patiently. But the waiting is over. Marshals, will you please present our class of 2018 for the diploma ceremony? This year, we have graduates of our Masters of Laws programs. These programs provide students with an opportunity for a rigorous and focused study of one area of the law. I welcome Adriana Vito, the Director of Graduate Studies, to announce our LLM student graduates.
Thank you so much, Rochelle. I appreciate it. The students graduating with an LLM in intellectual property this year are Philip B. Davis, Dong Young Kim, Eun Jin Kim, Mirella Santos Veloso, Robert E. Watson, the students graduating with an LLM in Law and Economics are Jonathan M. Zaleski, the students graduating with an LLM in United States law are Ishtiaq Hussein, Flavia Lobato Huang, Daria Marinets, Victoria Deliberador Martinelli, Marina Rakova, Haider Munder Abdul Hadi Semaisim, Yulia Veremienko. I now welcome Dean Perkins back to the podium. Thank you.
This year, for the first time, we have 2 students graduating from our dual JD MBA program. These students are Maeve Harper, Ashley Post, I now present the graduates of the Antonin Scalia Law School at George Mason University Juris Doctor program. Philip Thomas Abruscato. Katie J. McDowell, summa cum laude. Bonnie Kelly. Daniel J. Shapiro, magna cum laude. Julia E. Palermo. Zachary T. Schutz, magna cum laude. Laura A. Saracena. Daniel Masakayan, cum laude. Joseph J. Kusan III. Thomas Rucker, magna cum laude. Kristen A. Harris. Evan Thomas Hicks. Patrick Rocco Panella, cum laude. Caitlin Elizabeth Van Sant. Floyd E. Canfield. Riva Grace Phillips. Abigail Ann McNellis. Whitney Lynn Antoniano. Kyle T. Armstrong. Thomas Paul Armstrong. Kirk R. Arner. Tiffany H. Bates. Erno L. Buki. Chethan Chandra. Sarah Ashley Cohen. Richard G. Cole III. Sway F. Connolly. Charles Crawford Silva. Alyssa Davies. Emma Kruger Devaney. Elliot Damio. Anna E. Dryden. Jordan Richard Elton, cum laude. Lauren E. Fetch. Nicholas Fisher, magna cum laude. Julian B. Flamont. David Fox, magna cum laude. Jasmine S. Gandhi. Sarah Marie Gentry. Lee T. Gleason. Jeremy Elijah Noah Glenn. Stephanie Ann Goldberg. Tyler Grimm. Eric David Grome. David C. Hagan. Racken R. Hamid. Carrie Hamilton. Kristen Michelle Hanna. David M. Hart, cum laude. Mandy Hart, magna cum laude. Jennifer Hauser Coffey. Jacob Hedke. Ever M. Hess, cum laude. Amy C. Hilton. Samantha Hogue. Jared Hardin Hood, cum laude. Stephen A. Horn. Riley Scott Inman. Alex Stephen Johnston. Nabi Kusai. Matthew Michael Karras, cum laude. Naveed Kushani. Lindsay Kimmett. Christopher King. Matthew J. Kozakowski. Abigail Marguerite Kuhn. Sarah Larson. Pam Walsh Lee, summa cum laude. Matthew Line, magna cum laude. Caitlin Leitner. Angela Mason London. Monica R. Martinez. Colette Laura McCrone, magna cum laude. Caitlin Margaret McHale. Matt McEntee, cum laude. Michael Lawrence Mitchell. Franny Monasterio. Emily Rose Norino. Catherine Novak. Michael O'Keefe. Curtis A. Orshowski. Gloria Caroline Paredes. Daniel Pellet. Cara Laura Podraza. Royal Purvis Jr. Sarah Rakatayan Frick. Aisha Marie Rhodes. Cheryl Lynn Richardson. Allison K. Riddle. Christopher Robertson. Alexandra Felicia Rodriguez. Tim Rodriguez. Laura Jane Rosenberger. Max William Ross. Ian Gerardo Roy. Shannon Russell. Ray Samara. Christopher Shimizu, magna cum laude. Elizabeth Shreves, magna cum laude. Sarah E. Silvera, cum laude. Brian Silver. Alexa Small. Chelsea C. Smith. Timothy Snyder, magna cum laude. Tinny Song. Jonathan R. Suhu. Emily A. Spence. Tara A. Stark. Richard Quilty Stearns. Catherine Carly Swain. Matthew E. Sweet. Anmol Kumar Sudarshan Thakur. Samantha Ray Trussell. Johnny Wang. Colin S. Wigler. Melissa Wink. Thomas J. Witkowski, cum laude. Rebecca Wolfson. Hannah Jasmine Worrell. Luis Zwicker. I now welcome Dean Butler back to the lectern to confer our graduates.
Thank you, Rochelle. Class, please stand. You may move your tassels from the right to the left-hand side. Class of 2018! Class of 2018. Everybody up, come on. Class of 2018. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. I know it's been a long haul. You've reached a milestone on your journey. Indeed, it's more of a beginning than an end. However, you need a rest. You've earned it. Take the rest of the day off. Enjoy it with your family. Take tomorrow off. And that's it. Monday morning, you turn your brains onto their highest setting and leave them there until after the bar exam. Please take this effort very seriously. It not only affects your ability to practice law, but also the ranking and reputation of your school and those colleagues sitting around you. At this moment, I'm tempted to slide into a discussion of the positive externalities associated with passing the bar and the negative externalities associated with not doing so well in the bar. But I'm not going to do that. All I want you to do is pass the damn bar. Pass the damn bar. Class of 2018, pass the damn bar. You can do better than that. Pass the damn bar. All right, you're ready, you're fired up. Maybe you shouldn't take tomorrow off. Okay. As we conclude the convocation, graduates and guests are invited to join me, the faculty and staff, for light refreshments in the lobby and the second tier of the concert hall. Thanks to our marshals, the very wonderful Mason Jazz Ensemble, the staff and ushers of the Center of the Arts, events management team, law school staff, and the Student Bar Association. The class of 2018 and faculty will now stand for the recessional. Audience, please remain seated until the graduating class has left the hall. Thank you very much.